Welcome to NFL Nexus. Today, we're cracking open the NFL Draft Playbook, but believe me, we are going way beyond your typical mock drafts and highlight reels. We're going to get into the real science of team building, into the core philosophy that drives one of the league's most methodical general managers. Our focus today is on Chris Ballard of the Indianapolis Colts and this data-driven blueprint he uses to build his roster. It's a process that values numbers and athletic potential in a way that, can both create superstars and, frankly, raise some serious questions. It all starts with a single word. When Chris Ballard talks about a prospect like Jalen Carley's, listen closely. He doesn't just praise his big plays or his college stats. He zeroes in on the skill set. Now, this isn't just throwaway GM speak. It is a massive window into his entire philosophy. He's not just looking for a good football player. He's looking for the raw, athletic ingredients. He wants those foundational traits because he believes those are the true building blocks of an elite NFL player, and that they're often more important than a polished college resume. We hear it all the time, right? A general manager has a type. For some guys, it's about a player's leadership, that grit, or maybe the powerhouse college they came from. But for Chris Ballard, the idea of a type is totally stripped of all that subjectivity. It is defined by a strict set of measurable athletic benchmarks. His belief in athletic testing has created this unique and honestly pretty predictable blueprint for the Colts. It's like he's trying to turn the art of scouting into more of a science. So let's pull back the curtain and deconstruct that blueprint. Okay, so here's our roadmap for this whole breakdown. We're going to start by defining what this Ballard blueprint actually is. Then we'll literally build the ideal Colts offensive tackle, metric by metric. After that, we'll apply this model to the upcoming 2026 draft class, sorting them into different tiers. From there, we'll pivot to a really fascinating real-world test case, a super polarizing linebacker prospect that perfectly captures the central dilemma of this entire strategy. And finally, we'll tie it all together to really understand Ballard's core philosophy, betting on athleticism. All right, let's dive right in. This brings us to the main idea of our analysis today, the Build-A-Ballard model. And I want to be clear, this is not just some fan theory cooked up on a message board. It's a genuine analytical framework that's come from watching years and years of Ballard's draft history. It's all about reverse engineering his decisions to try and predict his future moves. And it's all built on the foundation of one unwavering principle. So the build-of-all model is actually pretty simple in theory. If you want to predict who the Colts are going to draft, you need to focus on the numbers, the data from the NFL Combine and from Pro Days. And since this model really started to take shape around 2019, it has been surprisingly accurate. Why? Because Ballard consistently, almost religiously, prioritizes raw athletic ability. We're talking speed, size, explosiveness, and he often values it even more than a player's on-field stats or how many games they started in college. And really, there is no better way to see this blueprint in action than by looking at the offensive tackle position. I mean, this is a spot where Ballard has successfully gambled on pure athleticism with guys like Bernhard Raimann, a former tight end who most people saw as a total project. But Ballard saw that raw athletic potential, he drafted him, and now the guy's a franchise left tackle. So let's build the perfect Ballard tackle piece by piece. The absolute foundation of a baller tackle is height. The target is right around 6'6". And this isn't just an arbitrary number. This height provides the necessary length and the frame to create leverage against the NFL's, let's be honest, increasingly freakish edge rushers. It's all about creating a wider arc for those defenders to run around, which gives the quarterback that extra split second he needs. Now, to go along with that height, the weight target is 310 pounds or more. This is what provides what scouts call sand in the pants. It's that functional strength and mass, especially in your lower body, that you need to anchor against a powerful bull rush and not get shoved back into the quarterback's lap. Now, sure, there have been a few minor exceptions, but this weight threshold is a really clear and consistent preference for Ballard. Okay, now we get to arm length. This is pretty much a non-negotiable trait. The target is 34 inches or longer. Think of it like a boxing match, right? The fighter with the longer reach can land a punch while staying out of danger. Well, in pass protection, it's the same idea. Longer arms let a tackle initiate contact with a defender first, keeping them at a distance and giving that tackle a huge advantage in controlling the fight. And this might be the most astounding metric of all, speed. Ballard is looking for tackles who can run the 40-yard dash in under 5.15 seconds. Let that sink in. For a human being who is 6'6" and over 310 pounds, that is just an incredible display of athleticism. It's not about chasing down a running back, obviously. It's a measure of that explosive power and short area quickness that is just essential for mirroring the lightning-fast first step of modern edge rushers. So, what's really fascinating here is when you put all these traits together, you start to see a profile of a truly rare athlete emerge. It's not just about being big or being fast, it is about being elite across the board. You've got the size we just talked about. Then you've got the speed, which is even further refined by a 10-yard split under 1.8 seconds to measure that initial burst off the line. Then you add in elite lower body explosiveness, measured by a vertical jump over 30 inches and a broad jump over 112 inches. And even after all that, he layers on two more checks: significant college experience of over 2,300 snaps and an appearance at the Senior Bowl, which shows a willingness to compete against the very best. Okay, so now that we have the complete blueprint, let's actually apply it. We can take the entire 2026 offensive tackle draft class and filter them through these incredibly strict criteria, and then we can sort them into tiers based on how well they fit the Colts model. This whole process takes this long, overwhelming list of prospects and turns it into a very specific, targeted list of potential Colts. And what you find is that the draft class naturally breaks down into three pretty distinct tiers. Tier 1 prospects, well, those are the ideal fits, the guys who meet nearly all of Ballard's criteria. Tier 2 has those intriguing athletes who test great but are just a little bit undersized. And then Tier 3, that's your massive road-grading maulers who just don't have the athletic testing numbers to make the cut. So the top fit in the 2026 class, according to the model, is Demetrius Crownover of Texas A&M. He's a former tight end with ideal size and athleticism. I mean, he draws direct comparisons to past Ballard projects like Ryman. But he falls short in one key area: experience. He's only got 1,886 college snaps, and this one single flaw, this one unchecked box, it creates this really fascinating dilemma for a GM who relies so heavily on a data-driven process. And that question right there, that brings us to the central tension of the entire Ballard blueprint. We've established his clear preference for raw, measurable athletic talent. But it raises a critical question, right? What happens when a player's athletic scores are absolutely elite, but their on-field experience is lacking? Which data point do you trust more? And this exact conflict between physical potential and proven production is at the very heart of another huge draft debate that's swirling around the Colts right now. And that debate centers on this player, Jake Golday, a linebacker from Cincinnati. He is the physical embodiment of this entire dilemma. I mean, on one hand, he is an athletic prodigy who fits the blueprint perfectly. But on the other hand, he's a relative newcomer to his position. And that makes him one of the most polarizing and debated prospects in the entire draft. Yeah, Golday's path to the draft is highly unconventional. He started his career as a defensive end at a smaller school, Central Arkansas, before transferring to Cincinnati and completely switching to an off-ball linebacker role. He's only had 2 years of experience playing the position, with just one of those seasons being at a truly elite level of production. And that lack of a long-term track record, well, it makes evaluating him an incredible challenge for scouts and front offices. Golday's inexperience at the linebacker spot has led prominent analysts like Alex Ballantyne of Bleacher Report to really urge caution. The argument basically is that drafting Golday high isn't selecting a finished product. It is a gamble on a long-term projection, a player you hope will develop, not one you know can step in and play from day one. So Ballantyne's main point is that Golday's draft value is based almost entirely on his potential, on what he could become, not on his current skill level. And he argues that a team like the Colts, a team with aspirations of winning now, just cannot afford to use a premium draft pick on a player who might need years of development to learn all the nuances of the position and finally reach his ceiling. And this right here perfectly captures the dilemma. On one side, his inexperience is a massive red flag. He's a projection. But on the other side, his single year of elite production is just impossible to ignore. 105 tackles, a fantastic 90.6 run defense grade from Pro Football Focus, and a very low 9% missed tackle rate. It's the classic case of projection versus production. But there's one more data point that could tip the scales. This is Jake Golday's relative athletic score, or RAS. Now, RAS is a composite metric that takes all of a player's athletic testing numbers, the 40-yard dash, vertical jump, shuttle times, all of it, and it contextualizes them for that player's specific size and position. A score of 9.85 out of a possible 10 is exceptionally rare. It ranks him as the 53rd most athletic linebacker out of nearly 3,500 tested since 1987. So he's not just a good athlete, he's a top 1% athletic specimen, and by the numbers, he is a perfect fit for the Ballard blueprint.
So when we connect the rigid athletic thresholds for an offensive tackle with this really complex dilemma presented by Jake Golday, a clear, powerful, and overarching team-building philosophy starts to emerge. And this isn't just about one position anymore. It's about a core belief in how you find and develop talent in the modern NFL.
Ballard's strategy is really consistent no matter the position. Bet on elite, measurable athletic traits. He drafts the superior athletes and then trusts his coaching staff to develop their football skills. But you have to understand this is a high-risk, high-reward approach. It can result in a star like Bernhard Raimann, a raw prospect who developed into a franchise cornerstone, or it can lead to a miss like Blake Freeland, another athletic freak who has really struggled to translate those gifts to the NFL field. Ultimately, it is a conscious choice to prioritize a player's long-term physical potential, their ceiling, over their current level of on-field refinement or their floor.
And this brings us to the fundamental question in team building, the one every single GM has to answer. When the future of your franchise is on the line and the clock is ticking, do you trust the data or do you trust the tape? It's a question that defines a general manager's philosophy, and ultimately, it defines their legacy. Hey, thanks for watching this deep dive with us here on NFL Nexus. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and let us know what you think in the comments. Would you take a chance on a guy like Jake Golday? And hey, if you're looking for a way to help support the channel, check out our coloring books. They're perfect for children, grandchildren, and even adults. You can find them through the link in the description or by scanning the QR code on your screen right now. We truly appreciate all your support. We'll see you next time.